And this is why I say that business owners, kind of create the potentially the worst jobs that they ever have. Is I don't know how many business owners suffer marital issues, but sometimes our spouse, and I happen to have a phenomenal spouse that is always supportive of me and those things, but they kind of get drug along on a ride that they didn't ask for. And it's true. And so I asked the one guy last year in February. I'm like, if you knew that starting a business was going to have the impact on your marriage that it's had, would you have ever started the business? And he said, no. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do about that now? Because it's just an awareness thing. It's like, hey, I'm doing the business and I got all the stress and all this, and then I go home and then I have stress at home and I don't want to talk there. I'm like, yeah. Before we go any further on trying to fix the business, there's some conversations that you need to have at home, because that's a covenantal relationship that really deserves more attention than what you've got going on in business. And it was just, it's not preaching. It was what he needed to hear at the time. He needed to hear it. Um, and so I would say that that's probably been one of the biggest wins for us over the last year, is that he and his wife are still together. They make big business decisions together. He still gets to make the small ones by himself, but he's no longer making big business decisions that she's not in complete agreement with. Um, and so that's a story that's still being written, but just a phenomenal opportunity that he has that, you know, could have wound up with him making all kinds of money. And then what does that matter if you don't have your family? And so I think, again, it's addressing the full 360 of a business owner. Our core mission is not necessarily better businesses, although I think that that's the likely outcome. It's really to say we want to focus on the business owner, because everybody else who's coming to talk with the business owner wants to focus on their business. And our mission statement is that we exist to restore the hearts and lives of business owners by helping them build businesses that pay them back personally, financially, spiritually, and generationally. We believe that capitalists are community keystones, that they take the risk and feel the pressure and provide for others. When we restore the capitalists, we restore the ecosystem. And that's really long, and I have to read it, but that's because it was really short before, and my team was like, "What do we do?" And so I had to put more words together for them. And I can go back to the short one and I can rip it off, and it's like a single sentence and it means everything to me. But the essence of that mission statement is love well, build free, and leave a legacy. And which was not the original mission statement. It's just like, okay, that's a lot of words. What my team can remember is the love well and build free and leave a legacy thing, and they're all in on that. And so, yeah, it's meant a lot to us in terms of um, uh, sort of. I think the one of the skills that you have, Sandy, and I'm on to you, by the way. I'm watching you, Sandy. Is that
I'm not hiding anything, by the
yeah,
way.
it's just the way that you will hear something and then ask, and why blank? And then you hear the next part of that, and why? And it just keeps peeling back layers of the onion until down there somewhere is the piece that people couldn't necessarily articulate previously, but it was there. And so going through that with the entire team, and understanding, like, oh, that's an interesting perspective that this person has, or this person. And that's why I would say that one of the big takeaways of going through that together as a team is we all got to know each other a lot better and deeper, and um, and we're not some sort of kumbaya family, here that um, after hours we all hang out. I have a mostly remote company. We all live in different parts of the country, primarily, um, and so we don't do a lot of hanging out together. Um, and and so you lose something when you don't have water cooler time, uh, and we gained something, that I don't think that we would have ever gained if we were just doing remote work. Even if we were trying to be intentional about asking people personal stuff to get to know them better, when you carve out the time and you have dedicated time to do that week after week after week, and it's building, then something more develops from that than you can really do, or we could in our case as a mostly remote company. So yeah, it's been pivotal. One of the things that you talked about was, at the end of the course was um, some sort of memento, and you held up an elephant. Well, this is ours. It's we call it a ripple ball. It's got meaning to us in terms of two ways. Is ripples are what we want to, um, uh, at the end of the day, be known for and leaving a legacy. Is that we've created enough ripples in the world, and hopefully the kind that we don't even see. Like we've changed outcome of a family, and so because of that, that family is now spreading their own ripples, and and the baseball part of it really comes from the movie Moneyball, which was, is there a different way to play the game?
Mhm.
And so it kind of has a dual meaning for us in that, everybody got one of these, uh, and then for some reason I got two of them, and occasionally on our team calls, I'll just hold them up like this because I just think that it's funny, right? But I'm wanting to remind the team that we're doing something different. We're playing the game different, um, uh, and people are here because we are doing it different, and they feel the ripples, and we try to celebrate those when they happen. Um, we're not perfect at this. I think that there's it's a real big change for people to move from industrial age thinking. Uh, and when we went through participation age, we borrowed the term that Chuck uses, which is adults and capitalists. We've changed that to what we call G3, or grown, gritty, and governed, because that's the way that I actually want them thinking, and it resonates a little deeper with them. Like, wait, I get to be grown. We're going to have to be gritty because this is not like an easy conversion. If we want to hold on to these things, we're going to have to be very intentional about it. And governed is you get to govern yourself, right? Like, um, so we just took the same concept, and I think it resonates a little bit deeper with everybody there. And and so we'll call out G3 behavior, right? Oh, totally G3, and that's any time that I feel lifted and somebody else on the team has done something that I didn't have to get involved with, and they can call it out to each other, right? Like, um, that is that's where lift happens. That's where you get this force multiplier thing. We certainly, believe that everybody is capable of leading, and that they are already leading in some area of their lives already, and we're just giving them the permission to grow into that here at the company. Um, and uh, and so, yeah, my experience has been, I will tell you this. I, very early on in the training, the participation age training with both Sandy and Chuck, I made the statement to the team that, hey, this is the hill that I'm willing to die on. I didn't think they were going to take me literally. Like God, I don't really want to die here on this hill, but we've stayed committed to it through thick and thin. Even when I think there were times where obviously it would have gotten us through a difficult situation to take back the ball and just tell people what to do and move back to what's comfortable. And instead, we chose to go the uncomfortable route, and because of that, I'd like to think that we're going to get rewarded for that level of commitment to it. And you'll have to have me back on sometime in the future, and I'll tell you how it's turned out.
Well, I love that. I love that. Actually, it's not all tied up in a bow, right? Because sometimes you listen to people and like everything's now wonderful, and you're still in process. For those of you who don't exactly know how the Love Well by Doing Good came about, is one of the things I did was read the book Firms of Endearment, which is about companies that are doing things beyond, profit, doing bigger impact things in the world. And there is a great video on YouTube with Ben and Jerry's. I really want to interview these two guys. So if you know anybody there, Ben and Jerry's and the man who owns Greystone Bakery. And they were at an event together and started talking to one another and getting to know one another. And they came up with this idea. So the bakery bakes brownies, right? And so they came up with what if we put your brownies in our ice cream, right? And this bakery hires ex-cons. And the testimonies from these guys about how their lives have changed because they work for a company that has mission, vision, and values like you're talking about, and they live them out. With this combination of Ben and Jerry's, who is very much aligned in the same way the bakery is, has not just meant that we all love the brownie ice cream, from Ben and Jerry's, but this organization created their own kind of nonprofit. I don't know what they call it, but an arm of what they do. And I believe in the video, they either have given $15 or $17 million to their community that they live in. They live in the Bronx. And so they have like public gardens and affordable housing. I mean, they've been able to create together something way beyond either one of them thought about when they just thought about ice cream or brownies. Now, these men may have always had dreams simmering in their hearts that business could do more than just make us money. That's on a big scale. Those are corporations. So you look at corporations and you think, well, of course, they've got investors and resources and all that. But this is what happens in small business too, right? And in some ways, the small business owner with the smaller team can be more agile, can make decisions and make turns faster than big companies. But I believe the same thing can happen with small business, that smaller business, and the people that own those businesses and work in those businesses also in their own way can make impact in the world. You're doing it with other business owners. Companies do it in community, or they do it and support causes that they care very much about. And I just found that really inspiring. And that's what motivates me to keep going. And so one of the things that I learned in doing the course with you guys, which I knew this, but I got to really experience it with you, is that if we don't learn to love one another, we can't really love well by doing good in the world. And it seems too like kumbaya or mushy to actually spend time. And you guys spent really a lot of time. I mean, we met for 2 hours for 8 weeks or 8 or 9 weeks. That was a lot of time for your whole team to take out and do this. And along the way, watching all of you get to know one another, listen to one another, consider different perspectives than you might have had personally. Just the depth where you dug into that. I have watched your company just operate and be very different. And one of the things that I think about is we're very future oriented, right? So we have these goals and we want to make profit and all this. But today is all we have.
Mm-hmm.
It's all we have, and we know that. And so the other thing that I believe happens in this is the present moment is much richer because we're not striving for just that anymore and missing everything that's happening right now along the way. We're pausing long enough to really listen, or pause long enough to love well in a different way than we would have if we had not considered that this was so important. And I've seen that. I've seen people in your company come because of it and people leave,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Because,
you actually said that, like,
yeah,
hey, like at the end of this, maybe not everybody's here, and that's okay, right? Like, we don't villainize them if they move on or don't fit. But I'll say this, you said that we spent a lot of time in that process with you, and nobody has the time. Like, we didn't have the time. Everybody, pulling their schedules together. Scheduling it was like an issue in the beginning. There are days that would be scheduled, and people would think that they don't have the time to be there on that particular day. But I will tell you, like, hands down, nobody missed a session. Everybody gets into that 2 hour session, and the noise settles down, and everything that they thought was so important can wait. um, and and the growth that happened in there was definitely worth the time. But I mean, that's just an old adage, right? If it's worth doing, it's going to take some time to do. It's not. This is a little bit of crock pot cooking and not
yeah,
microwave stuff,
yeah.
right?
And I
So,
remember someone, I don't remember who, and maybe it was even a couple people when we talked about the impact, said things like, for the first time in my life, I feel like people see me.
mhm,
Like,
yeah,
I want to cry about that. Like, you guys are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you're saying for the first time in your life, this situation allowed people to really see you. What does that say about our families and everything else? And yet, they finally got to say that, right? They didn't die feeling like they, were never seen, were never appreciated, were never really loved well.
yeah.
So,
I think one of the things, like as you talk about that, we are experiencing is always a great session to go through. Everything that we've invested in, we feel like we've gotten some return. But again, I'll bring it back to cognitive load, and people are working on a thing today, and are they bringing all of that knowledge with them to that thing today? One would hope that it's kind of getting baked in a little bit, and that they're operating differently. But the reality is, we have a vision statement, we have a mission statement, we have our core values, we have 8 team agreements that the team built, right? Like, I didn't give them those team agreements. They decided this is what it looks like to be part of this team. Um, they have the love well by doing good stuff that we went through with you. They have the structure that we sort of the framework that we're running Acceleration Age on, and that's just a lot to hold. And so, what we are doing is right now it's Frankenstein. We're using 2 AIs off the shelf, and we have built them in such a way that allows people to have all that framework around them. And especially if they're going to have a difficult conversation or they need to make a decision, then they'll just simply put that into AI, and it'll run through and make sure that the outcome of it is in line with that entire framework. Meanwhile, it's also like, here are the company goals, right? And then here's what you're working on. and so it'll align all three of those and compress them on the other side. And it's Frankenstein. It's the thing that I now have a developer who has agreed to build that for me, and I don't have the money to build it, which is the next phase of that. But it's not going to be, I don't think, a problem getting the money because the value proposition is so strong. If you are a visionary leader and you have a company and you struggle to keep everybody on the same page and all of those things, I'm telling you, even our Frankenstein piece would would be beneficial. But this would be the customized piece that we're building. And um, what's interesting about that is until the summer of last year, I never thought I'd use AI before in my life. I thought I write a good email. I don't need AI. I thought that was all it was for. But interestingly enough, one of the people that we gave services to is was referred to me as a computer savant with a good idea, and he needed to get his good idea to market without being taken advantage of. And so I met with him. He didn't fit our profile. Our profile was really to work with businesses that were already established. And in 2 hours, he taught me how to use AI. And from that, we have done all sorts of things. And we also, coming back to him, I feel like he's within 14 days of securing $4 million to build his cybersecurity product. Uh, None of which I don't think he would have been able to get out of the ground if we hadn't been able to come around him and give him those services. So like he thinks we've been a huge blessing to him, but in just one thing that use case of the AI for us, it meant adding $3.7 million to our balance sheet. So um, so I have a strong balance sheet. I can't buy bread on that, right? Like so. Uh, so anyway, but it. I think that story, a reason I wanted to get it in is um, we had the intention of love well by doing good and having that be outward facing, and we got a huge benefit that I literally think I would have finished my career without
Mm.
touching AI. I think there was a lot of fear around AI, um, and business owners with fear around AI need some help in that area, or they're going to get left behind
Mm.
because we just do things so much faster now.
Mm.
And because of AI, we can actually give more of these services away. Something that used to take my Maria, my financial analyst, 2 weeks to build a pro forma, she can do in 40 minutes now,
Mhm.
and really strong. So as we do more of that, we're going to be able to do more of the thing that we are really called to do, and that's improve business owners' lives so that they can improve the lives of the people that work for them and with them. So
I'm
yeah,
glad you I'm
where we
glad you
are.
said that because I was going to say, well, what's next? And you just read my mind and said kind of at least what's next. And it's exciting to be talking to you about that and be involved in it in some way. And because I do think that we will be left behind. I mean, AI is overwhelming, and yet it doesn't have to be overwhelming. If you've got somebody to help you understand how you can use it for yourself or your business or whatever. Um, I have a funny story at Christmas. I always make a lot of cookies, and I make these pecan fingers. And I don't know, I was distracted. So I'm making the recipe, and I realized that I have put too much powdered sugar, like exponentially. Like I would have had to 10 times, 10x the recipe. And I'm like, this will not work out. So I go to AI. And I say, here's what I've done. Oh, no problem. We could just make shortbread. And literally made some of the best shortbread I've ever tasted
Yeah.
out of the mess I had created. So I just think, it can be a brilliant tool for us to be able to get to do the things that we care about the most, because we can systemize and create processes around those things that, don't have us interacting the same way as people too. So
Eric, when he taught me AI, he said, "Hey, you're the kind of person you're going to disappear inside of this for 30 days, and you're just going to get all your ideas in it, and that's okay. Just remember, it's the smartest dumb machine that you'll ever use, and don't let it become an idol. It is just a tool. You're still driving it, and so that's part of what we're building so that it can actually work for businesses. The off the shelf stuff has a lot of influence in it, and so what we're building is can something that can be customized for a company with their own core values, their own mission and vision, and all of that stuff, and actually keep up with what they're doing in their company so that strategically they can use it to make good decisions moving forward. Again, we've achieved it with Frankenstein. It's just not easy, but we're learning a lot, and we have a lot of really good case studies, and that made it really, really easy to attract a developer who instantly saw, oh, most AI is developed by developers who think there's a certain use case, but from a business perspective, you have built what you need, and I can see that need being um, just universal.
mhm.
So that's the big project,
So if you're an
and
investor out there that is a few $1,000,000 and you want to invest in something that can really impact people and love well by doing good, then you need to call Doug Woodward. We'll put your information. How do they get a hold of you?
like the thing about me, Sandy, is Ulysses, the developer, said he looked me up on LinkedIn. And he's like, "Dude, you got a picture out there from when you were 28 years old. And you had hair and all of this." Yeah, I'm not on social media. I, I kind of purposefully keep that noise out of my life, but I understand there's a place for it. I just don't know how to integrate that into what I do right now. So the best way probably to reach me is through the Mesh Dental email address, which is just dwoodward@meshdental.com, or the Tribex address, which is Doug at tr1bex.com. Either one of those will find me. And in the meantime, I think if you have somebody that has a business that is the business is a decent business, but it's kind of killing them. We are kind of ending both of those complementary things that we've been working on, and we're ready to take on another couple of people. So
Cool.
feel free to nominate somebody.
Awesome.
There's no obligation. We'll simply work with them for 6 months, and then they can decide whether or not they want to move forward after
That's
that or not.
cool. We need some videos from those people that you have been working with so we can
Yeah,
hear from
um,
them personally.
yeah, they will. They'll be happy, I think, to produce something for us.
Cool. Well, we're running out of this has gone fast, and we'll definitely do another one or two or three or four as we keep moving forward with you. But what else do you want to leave people with? And I want to leave people with, what are you going to do to love well by doing good in your life, in your work, in your family, in your business, in your community. So be thinking about that. But what are your last thoughts here for now?
I kind of probably turn this back to you a little bit in the closing, which is it's really refreshing when you're working around people who are genuine. And so, anybody that's watching this has never met Sandy personally, what you see is what you get. This is Sandy. It's been huge for us as a company to be able to benefit from her experience, from the way that she's wired to drive things that matter to people. And yeah, I highly encourage you, if you feel like your business is doing okay, but you're just kind of working more for the money than for the meaning, and you don't really know, like, how do I make that jump, or how do I get, maybe I'm struggling with a bunch of team turnover. um, I'm telling you, if you will sow into your people, they'll stick with you through very difficult times. And there's no better way to sow into them than get to know them, and to let them feel uh, love from the person who started the company. So yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Um, I also don't think that everything we do has to turn out perfect, like your cookie recipe, right? Like sometimes in life you've got a good plan, and life happens, and then from that, I think the people that have good moorings and are um, uh, know what they want to do, they'll find a way to make shortbread, right? Like I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
of,
Sometimes the best can turn out to be the best thing, the better thing that you never could have considered. So,
yeah,
yeah, on that note, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being here.
well, I appreciate the invitation, and yeah, again, when we're kicking into different gear, I'd love to come back on and share how that's how we've turned the corner on some of that stuff. And in the meantime, we look forward to continue to have a relationship with you and touching other companies. So
That's awesome. Thank you.